ladies and gentlemen, can you see my screen? Yes? If yes, can you please give me a thumbs up? Awesome. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this session. Welcome to the Malaysian SDG Summit. My name is Theodorus Clarence. I'm the National Headquarters Commissioner for the Sustainable Development Goals for the Scouts Association of Malaysia. And today, I will be talking on localizing the SDGs to elevate education for sustainable development. Now, maybe some of you may be asking, isn't this summit about the Sustainable Development Goals? Why is a Scout talking about the SDGs? Are they actually related to each other? So before I start, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share, how are the SDGs actually related to Scouts? When we talk about Scouts, a lot of times people think about, isn't Scouts about going for marching, tying knots, going to the forest for camping? Aren't they about lighting campfires, going around the campfires, singing songs, tying and all that? Isn't that what Scouting is all about? Why is a Scout talking about the SDGs? So ladies and gentlemen, before I talk about education for sustainable development, allow me to please break that stereotype first. Now, I would deny that Scouting has, for all these past years, been about marching and tying knots and singing songs. But Scouting is actually far, far, far more than that. And allow me to share with you how Scouting is related to education for sustainable development. Now, before I talk about Scouting, we need to understand that to achieve the SDGs, it is stated in under SDGs 4, under target 4.7, that to achieve the SDGs, we need an education that is action-oriented and transformative, which supports self-directed learning. If we want to achieve the SDGs by 2030, we need to be able to change our skills, knowledge, and attributes. And in order to do that, we need to have an education that is action-oriented, transformative, and allows the younger generation to build competencies for sustainable development. Now, UNESCO launched the 8 core competencies for sustainable development. And today, I would like to share how Scouting is related to this. Now, if you look at here, I did say that in order to achieve the SDGs, we need education that is action-oriented and transformative. And now I'd like to talk about Scouting. What is Scouting all about? So first and foremost, Scouting is action-oriented. Now, under our Scouting methods, one of the biggest parts of Scouting is learning by doing. In Scouts, we always allow our Scouts, we challenge our Scouts to go outside, to learn by doing things. Yeah, maybe like marching and going for camps, but it's not only about that, okay? It's about being leaders, okay? Going into groups, discussing and solving real community issues. And the mission of Scouting is actually to be able to develop individuals, young people, to be able to contribute to the society. And that is all action-oriented. And we need action-oriented education in order to build competencies for sustainable development. So this is actually one of the things, how Scouting is related to the SDGs. Secondly is youth focus. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe some of you might feel that Scouting is just a uniform body that we do in schools. But in fact, actually, Scouting is much more than that. Scouting is actually the world's largest non-formal educational movement with over 57 million members all around the world. And in 2018, we have actually introduced and actually reported to United Nations that we have actually achieved over 2 billion service hours in contributing to the sustainable developments in the entire world. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, over the past few years, we have actually achieved over 2 billion service hours in achieving sustainable development. Scouting in its core is a movement for youth supported by adults. Youth are leaders, change makers, and we always challenge young people to take charge and lead. That is what Scouting is all about. We are a youth-focused movement. We want to hear from the young people. We want young people to lead and take charge. And that is why Scouting is by far one of the biggest movements in building young leaders in achieving sustainable development. So that is why Scouting is youth-focused. Thirdly, in Scouting, we promote a holistic educational approach. In Scouting, we promote education in development through SPICES. Allow me to type in the chat box, SPICES. In Malay, most of you might know this as JERIS, but in Scouting, we say this is SPICES. We promote development in terms of social development, physical development, intellectual development, cultural development, emotional development, and spiritual development. And this is important, ladies and gentlemen, because if we want to build young leaders that are able to build a sustainable future, we need to be able to develop them with competencies wholesomely and holistically. And that is why Scouting is at the forefront. What are the movements that promote young leaders in achieving the SDGs? And fourthly, we are relevant. Now, ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to break the stereotype. Scouting is much more than just camping and marching. We have aligned in 2015, when United Nations launched the Sustainable Development Goals, World Scouting did a very big change. In 2015, once the UN launched the Sustainable Development Goals, World Scouting launched the Better World Framework, which I will be sharing on later on, okay? And later you will see how through the Better World Framework and in 2018, Scouts for SDGs, we have managed to align our whole youth program. We have managed to align it to the SDGs so that our mission and vision is relevant to today's needs. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope from my sharing, you're able to see how Scouting is actually related, not only related, but plays a major part in the Sustainable Development Goals and education for sustainable development. Moving on. So just now I said that in 2015, United Nations launched the 17 Sustainable Development Goals through Agenda 2030. And in 2015, World Scouting launched the Better World Framework. What is the Better World Framework? Now, actually, since Scouting started in 1907, our mission has always been to contribute to the community. But in 2015, with this framework, we have managed to coordinate all our existing initiatives that are designed to develop young people with competencies to become active citizens. And these competencies help our Scouts to become young leaders in advocating and promoting sustainable development. These are some of the programs under the Better World Framework. I only have 18 minutes, so I can't talk a lot about them, but you can see some of their missions and their intention. For example, we have the Scouts of the World Award that addresses peace, development, and environmental issues. We have Scouts Go Solar that spreads awareness on clean, affordable, and renewable energy. We have He for She, which my friend Naufal is talking in room 5, but please stay here in room 9. Huh? So He for She is to advocate for gender equality. We have the World Scout Environment Program that promotes environmental education. We have Dialogue for Peace that promotes a culture of dialogue, and many more. So this is the Better World Framework that unites all these initiatives under one framework so that we are able to better advocate and promote sustainable development. So this was in 2015. But in 2018, when we reported to United Nations, this was in 2018, we hit 1 billion service hours. And this was when we launched Scouts for SDGs. So what is Scouts for SDGs? Scouts for SDGs is a mobilization of the 50 million Scouts. Now we have over 57 million Scouts worldwide that leverage the youth program, our badges, our initiatives, and also the Better World Framework launched in 2015 so that we are able to inspire, enable, and deliver more action towards the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Through the Scouts for SDGs, more member countries are able to actually align their youth program to the Sustainable Development Goals, including the Scouts Association of Malaysia. And I'll share with you later how we in the Scouts Association of Malaysia have managed to localize and align our national scouting badging scheme with the SDGs. So moving on, now I'd like to share about our work. So ladies and gentlemen, as I said previously, I'm the National Headquarters Commissioner for the Sustainable Development Goals in the Scouts Association of Malaysia. So what I do is I lead a team of young people that develop and deliver content and material related to education for sustainable development nationwide. So what we do is, our main work involves three things. We do a lot more than that, but today I would like to share about our work in spreading awareness, our work in alignment to the SDGs, and our work for advocacy. So allow me to share. Number one, awareness. So ladies and gentlemen, since 2015, when we launched the Sustainable Development Goals, awareness has been a big part of the Scouts Association of Malaysia. As you can see from the pictures here, we are always going to schools, running awareness programs. Since the pandemic, we've been going online through webinars, workshops, activities to promote the Sustainable Development Goals. As I said previously, Scouting has always been active members in promoting and contributing to the local society. But through this awareness, our young people are able to better see how their work and contributions impact their communities at a larger level, at a larger scale. Because all this while they've been thinking that, oh, I'm just doing this work to help my community. But now once they're aware about the SDGs, they're able to see how their work actually makes them active citizens, not only locally, but actually at a global scale. All right. So this is one part of the awareness. Another part of awareness that we do that I'm proud to share with you today is that the Scouts Association of Malaysia is actually in progress in launching our first ever virtual course on the Sustainable Development Goals. So these are some materials that we're actually working on our virtual course for Sustainable Development Goals, and this will be launched early next year. So this is a group of, this is a collection of materials, content, videos, brochures, documents, and all of this will be compiled under one national SDGs course that will be rolled out to spread even more awareness to the grassroots levels. And because we are localizing the SDGs, this course is fully in Bahasa Malaysia. Now, I'm not sure about you, but over the past few years, I've been trying to go on YouTube and Google, and there's very little content about the SDGs in our national language. So hopefully through this course, we are able to bring the SDGs closer to our younger generation, closer to our young people, so that they are able to play a bigger role in achieving the SDGs. And thirdly, this is our second part, is alignment. Last year, our team has launched 4 documents, and this document actually helps to align our national badging scheme with the SDGs. So in this document, as you can see, we included all our Scout badges, the summary of the badges, the SDGs involved, and not only the SDGs, but the specific targets under the SDGs that are involved with these badges. We explain how the specific SDG targets are related to the badges, and we've also added additional recommendations in order to help our National Scout Committee better align the youth program with the Sustainable Development Goals. Besides that, our alignment also involves localizing and translating international documents and also our own materials into Bahasa Malaysia. For example, we have SDG comics in Bahasa Malaysia. We have infographics in Bahasa Malaysia, and also various online games and activities related to education for sustainable development in Bahasa Malaysia. So hopefully with all this, we're able to bring the SDGs closer to the young people. And finally, advocacy. Now, when the pandemic struck in 2020, Scouting kind of went to a halt because Scouting is all about outdoors. But our team has actually managed to use this opportunity to further promote the Sustainable Development Goals. In 2020, we launched the 17 Days of SDGs quiz, which was a nationwide quiz that actually spread awareness on the Sustainable Development Goals. So 17 days, each day, one SDG, we went out with quiz that was done nationwide. Besides that, we also advocate and promote sustainable development through various social media platforms. And also we give appreciation to people that have been actually actively involved with the Sustainable Development Goals. Just last week, the Scouts Association of Malaysia held its very first ceremony to award people that have been promoting a culture of dialogue through the Dialogue for Peace initiative, where around 30 people were awarded with the Dialogue for Peace Personal Awareness Web Badge. So these are some of our work in the Scouts Association of Malaysia. Now, for those of you that are wondering, how did we actually manage to align our national youth program to the Sustainable Development Goals? So I would like to share with you 3 steps that we did, and hopefully maybe some of you here might gain some inspiration and maybe can adapt this as well. So step 1 is to identify areas of alignment. So when we started, we aligned the SDGs to our badging scheme, okay, the badges, our educational objectives, and we align this with the 17 SDGs and the specific targets. So the first thing you need to do when you are aligning with the SDGs is to find the area of focus. How can your content or your curriculum be related to the SDGs and the specific educational objectives? And this is very important that you actually have a team to do this, a team that is focused especially on these tasks. Step 2 is actually to plan and develop the approach. So plan your strategies, run pilot tests, and see whether they are successful and re-evaluate them. And the third step, which is very, very important, and I would say it is the most important step, is actually to monitor, evaluate, and share. Monitoring and evaluating your progress is one part, but sharing your success stories is very important. Because in the SDGs, our tagline is to leave no one behind. And to do this, we need to be able to share and inspire more people to be involved and to take part in achieving the SDGs. So my take-home message today is, ladies and gentlemen, Scouting has played a big part in the SDGs. With over 57 million members worldwide, we have achieved over 2.5 billion service hours through 1,600,000 service actions. Even in Malaysia itself, we have achieved over 251 million log hours through 15,000 community service projects in Malaysia itself. So whether it is creating face shields for the frontliners, providing help, basic needs to people who are in need, or being involved with vaccinations, Scouting is all about achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and education for sustainable development. Before I end, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say, the Sustainable Development Goals is for everyone. But in order to leave no one behind, we need to make education for sustainable development engaging and relatable in order to bring out the full potential of the younger generation. So that is all from me today. My name is Theodorus Clarence Tessenson, and if you want to contact me, feel free to contact me via sdgsmalaysia@scouts.my. That's all. Thank you for listening.